Hey, greetings, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West here, and welcome to the Steadfast and Loyal program.
You gotta light 'em up before they burn it down. Better dig deep and put 'em in the ground. Blood on their hands, they're hellbound. Save us all. Ooh, they're gonna burn it down. Save us all before they burn it down.
Well, hello, Patriots. Trebo, President, United Patriot Coin. I'm sure a lot of you have heard the story on how a $20 gold coin 100 years ago would buy a gentleman's really nice suit. And at the time we're making this video, gold sitting around $1,912 an ounce would still buy a gentleman's nice suit. But I want to take you back, maybe not that far ago, a time most of you should be able to remember, the year 2000. Gold was $275 an ounce, which means if you had invested $1 million in gold, you would be able to purchase 3,636 ounces of gold. Patriots today at roughly $1,912 an ounce, that would be worth $6.9 million today. Just another way to encourage you to be your own bank. Stay safe, be prepared, Patriots.
Hey, greetings, everyone. Welcome back to the Steadfast and Loyal program. You know, lots of times we don't think about where our food comes from. As a matter of fact, you talk to most kids today, they'll tell you the food comes from the grocery store. Well, someone is producing that food. Someone is able to, get it there to the grocery store. And then the supply chain management and all of these things are very intricate. So we're here to talk about not just this whole thing about agriculture, but the entire industry itself in one of the largest agricultural producing states that we have in the United States of America, that's Texas, with the commissioner of the Texas agriculture, and that's Sid Miller, an 8th generation farmer and rancher. Sid Miller is the 12th commissioner of the Texas Department of Agriculture. He graduated with honors from Tarleton State University in Stephenville with a Bachelor's of Science degree in vocational ag education. He was first elected to the Texas State House in 2000. He was elected as the 12th Texas Agriculture Commissioner in 2014 and re-elected to his second term in 2018 and his third term in 2022. And during the pandemic, Commissioner Miller declared numerous companies in the agricultural sector as essential businesses, saving thousands of jobs and enabling many Texas businesses to keep their doors open. And when he has some spare time, he is a recognized rodeo cowboy who holds 12 world championship titles. Commissioner Miller, thanks so much for being here with us.
Good to be with you, Colonel.
So let's tell us, what's been keeping you busy in the world of Texas agriculture?
Well, we've got a lot of projects, you know, going on. My largest project is I'm responsible for 5 million school meals each day in our public schools. So keeping those kids fed, that's a big part of what we do.
Yep.
We are the Consumer Protection Agency for the state. A lot of people don't know that, but several divisions. Of course, pesticides, we control that and make sure that your pets and your children aren't poisoned. That's kind of important.
That is.
We have a Weights and Measures division, so we're responsible for every barcode scanner in the state. There's a lot of those, so we make sure that those are accurate. Every scale in the state, we go into every pawn shop, jewelry store. They buy and sell gold and silver. The airports that weigh your luggage, stuff you don't think about. We're the ones that inspect the ping pong balls for the Texas Lottery, make sure that they're legal.
Yeah.
We just do a lot of stuff that no one knows.
And when you talk about weights and measures, when you look at the trucking industry that comes in and through, I mean, you see all of it, I-35, 45, 20, 40. That keeps you busy as well, I would presume.
Well, actually it does. We do biosecurity for the state. Kind of a type of border security, but not what pops in your mind.
Sure.
But we pull trailer trucks over and inspect them. make sure that they don't bring in any disease, pestilence, invasive plants,
Yep.
invasive species, to protect our agriculture industry from devastation.
Well, biosecurity is important now because when you think about, there's so many different ways you can come at a nation, and what better way than to spoil their food sources?
That's the quickest way.
It is.
Cut off food force. That's a very old military tactic.
It is, absolutely.
You would know. It's
I mean, once upon a time they'd take swine and kill them and put them into water sources so that you can poison water, things
Sure.
of that nature. When we talk about border security and the Texas Department of Agriculture, how is that relationship? Because, from what I've read and seen, anytime these illegals get out there in these farmlands and these fields, they can spoil a crop. Am I correct with that?
Well, it is, and we're kind of in the middle of that. I have livestock export facilities on the Rio Grande, have 4 of them there, have one at the airport in Houston. So we're interacting there with the Mexican authorities back and forth across the border all the time. We have inspectors down there, fruit fly inspectors, boll weevil inspectors that work both sides of the river. Sometimes it can be quite dangerous. Of course, we work very closely with all the farmers and ranchers up and down the Rio Grande. We have good working relationships with them. A lot of our produce is grown in the Winter Garden area in the Rio Grande Valley.
Yes.
So that's kind of, they may grow 2 or sometimes 3 crops down there. Mm-hmm. So we're out on those farms doing food safety inspections. So we interact a lot with the Border Patrol, Highway Patrol, ICE, those types. Of course, we're part of the emergency management team for the state. We have a role to play in that in rapid response to disasters and things of that nature.
Now, we're getting ready to go into winter season.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of us still remember what happened a couple of years ago. Talk to us about the effects that winter storm had on the Department of Agriculture and our agriculture industry overall. And have we really learned the lessons learned to be able to go forward?
Well, we haven't, and I'm still upset about that. Our grid's not fixed. We knew that big storm was coming in February of 21. I notified the governor that, put our agriculture processors on the front line, make sure that their power doesn't get cut off. I was ignored. Milk plants, they have backup generators, thank goodness, but what they don't have is backup natural gas.
Yeah.
So,
which is kind of weird because you have such an abundance of natural gas here.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've never had natural gas go off.
Yeah.
But because electricity went off at the gas plants, they couldn't push the gas out. So, for instance, one milk plant in Littlefield, Texas, didn't have any natural gas. So, guess what you need to pasteurize milk?
That's right.
You got to heat it up.
Yeah.
So they poured over 15 million gallons of milk down the drain, so couldn't pasteurize. One of the worst industries was our poultry industry.
Yeah.
So the heat went off in the poultry houses. Chickens froze to death. Baby chicks in the incubators froze to death. The eggs in the they all froze. They couldn't heat the chicken houses, so ice and snow collapsed the chicken houses. The worst industry was our horticulture industry.
Yeah.
February. I mean, they make money about 60 to 90 days out of the year in the springtime, when everybody's wanting to garden and Mother's Day and Valentine's Day. Well, that hit the worst possible time because all those greenhouses were totally full of production, almost ready to ship. Gas went off.
Yeah.
Houses collapsed under the weight of the snow and ice. You couldn't find a tomato plant in Texas anywhere.
That's sad.
We lost them all. It was a multi-billion-dollar loss to agriculture.
And you still believe that if we had that type of a storm again, we could still have those type of devastating effects?
We have not done enough to prevent that. Matter of fact, I was so upset about it, I came up with a 14-point plan to fix the grid. And you can go online and look at it. It's texaspowerplan.org.
Yeah.
I think the legislature has done 2 of the 14.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. We had unreliable power that went off, wind and solar.
Yes.
We have reliable power, but we keep making less of it and more of the unreliable power.
Yes.
In February, we were receiving 31% of our power from wind and solar. Today, that's grown. It's at least 40%, probably over 40% from wind and power, unreliable power.
Unreliable source.
And we have haven't secured the grid with emergency power that we can turn on to produce and manufacture and create more power. So if the wind ever quits blowing, or the
solar panels freeze over again,
get covered with snow or dust, we're in bad shape.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something else that I think was very disturbing for me, and I'm sure for you. You know, State Senator Lois Kolkhorst had a bill that would have prevented the purchasing and buying of ranch land and farmland here in the state by foreign entities that aren't friendly to us, especially China. And it didn't get passed in this last legislative session. And it hadn't been brought up in any of these special sessions we had. Are we really in danger from, you know, China coming in here and buying up a lot of our land and property and maybe some of our agricultural industry?
Well, you've actually hit on one of my hot button issues. This is something I've been working on for 5 years to get this prevented. Not this session, but the session before, Senator Donna Campbell actually stopped the Chinese from building a wind farm in South Texas. Chinese bought 140,000 acres near Del Rio, near military.
The Laughlin Air Force Base.
Near Laughlin Air Force Base, giving us access to our grid, access to our food supply, very convenient for espionage on our military.
Yeah.
And that's just stupid. I mean, there's nothing smart about that.
Yeah.
I mean, other than greed, but you know, or maybe say, well, that's somebody's personal property. They should be able to do what they want with it. Well, look, at some point, patriotism has to trump your property rights, because we don't have a country anymore.
Yeah.
You won't have any private rights, any property or otherwise. So I've been working on that. I worked very closely with Senator Kolkhorst. That bill shot out of the Senate like a slingshot, went to the House,
died,
and just died. Didn't go anywhere, and it's simply because the Democrats still run the House. They couldn't move it. We do some stupid things. The largest pork producer and the largest pork processor in the United States is a company called Smithfield Foods. Produce more pork, process more pork than anybody, and they're owned by the Chinese.
Incredible.
How smart is that?
It's not.
It's just, I mean, they're not going to let an American buy land in China.
No.
I'm not even sure a Chinaman can buy land in China.
Yeah, that's true. Unless you're part of the Communist Party,
right,
you're not.
Yeah. So I mean, we do some things that are just not smart, and you know, we're just not using any cowboy logic or common sense when it comes to protecting our country.
You know, you served in the House of Representatives here, the Texas State House. What is going on in our Texas State House? I mean, you're right. These things get passed out of the Senate. We've seen it even in the special session with school choice and educational freedom. And it just goes and dies in the House. I think a lot of people in Texas and across the country I hear from, they're very confused about what's happening here in Texas.
Well, it's you know, when I served, which is way back, I was in the minority party, and we had a Democrat speaker, but we were respected. The House rules were respected. We could bring a point of order. You know, at least it was fair.
Yeah.
But we took over, and the House was the conservative body, and the Senate was it went to die for. It was run by liberals, and that's done a complete flip in the last few years, ever since Tom Craddock left as Speaker. So now the Senate is a conservative body.
Yeah.
They send all the conservative issues, the party platform issues, to the House, and then because it's basically Democrat chairs, it goes to some of the committees where Democrat chairmen are there, so they won't even give it a hearing.
Yeah.
Much less vote it out and send it to the floor for vote of the full House. Either that, or it gets bottled up in a committee called calendars, which is the scheduling committee that schedules things for a vote. So
yeah, they run the clock out.
It's all the Democrats and maybe a dozen Republicans kill everything. Yeah. And it's sad way, and that's what you get when you get Democrat chairmen and a Speaker of the House that's elected by the Democrats and a few Republicans.
Yeah. When you look at where Texas is right now and being the Commissioner of Agriculture, what's your biggest concern?
Well, I didn't do this under the Trump administration, and matter of fact, I worked with the Trump administration, but I probably spend 40% of my time, Colonel, fighting federal overreach. The federal government. I'm suing them all the time.
Yeah.
I've sued them 4 times recently. Won all of those. Well, one of them's pending.
Yeah.
But it's just we need to. They've just got their boot on their neck, and you won't let us up. And it's the most recent one I'm fighting, the Endangered Species Act. They're using it as part of Biden's 30 by 30 plan, and that's they want to shut down 30% of our production by the year 2030. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is the 50-50 plan. They want to shut down 50% of the production, and I'm not talking just agriculture production, but oil and gas, mining,
everything.
Timber, 50% of our production by 50-50. So
who replaces that?
Well, no one. People starve and become dependent on the government, and that's their. Europe is way ahead of us on it.
Yeah.
The European Parliament's already voted to do that. They're moving along. Look at the Netherlands. They outlawed nitrogen fertilizer.
Yep.
They federalized 50% of the farmers' land. They're forcing farmers to get rid of 50% of their livestock. They're eating bugs for protein.
Well,
you think I'm crazy? It's
no,
true.
it's not. I mean, it's true. It's out there. And I remember a couple of winters ago, we saw Germans actually go out into the forest chopping down trees to warm themselves. This green agenda that they have out there in the 30-30, 50-50, this is all about more socialist, centralized planning and control.
It is, and it's it's a one world government. It's where they're eventually leading to.
Yeah.
It's so just worldwide communism where you're completely dependent on the government, and the government have to take care of you because you can't do it yourself anymore.
Yeah, they don't want the independent farmers
and
ranchers out there anymore. How can people follow you and all the great stuff you're doing as the commissioner of the Texas Agriculture?
But my website is sidmiller.com. Social media is Miller for Texas.
Yeah.
/ Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, but mainly my main communication is through Facebook.
Yeah.
I have over 1 million followers there. We reach 40 to 50 million people a month on that one platform.
Okay. What's next for Sid Miller?
We're just going to keep fighting the fight. We're going to keep fighting the Biden administration.
Yeah.
We're going to keep our marketing program going. We have global marketing for our farmers and ranchers. We're trying to open new markets, so we're not dependent on the Chinese so much to market our agriculture products. Not so dependent on Mexico and Canada, even though they're good trading partners.
Yeah.
But we'd like to spread our risk out.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us here
Thank you, sir.
on the Steadfast
Thank
Law
you.
Program. And folks, if you enjoyed this conversation with the Agricultural Commissioner of Texas, Sid Miller, please click the like button and share it with others. We want to thank him for his thoughts, perspectives, and insights. And as always, until next time, steadfast and loyal.
Before they burn it down.